Accelerate your dealership success. This is the Car Guy Simple podcast, powered by PMD. Sit back and buckle up as we provide you insight into the minds of buyers, tactics for success, and proven ways to turbocharge your dealership. Here's your host, Joe Levine.
Hello again, Joe Levine from Car Guy Simple, the podcast for automotive, retail, wholesale. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Welcome. CGS is here for you. And today we have a special guest that I'd like to introduce. Rob Sickel, the president, CEO, dealer principal for the Pine Belt organization. Pine Belt in Lakewood, and we're going to get into all the stores and the other affiliations that you have and all this other stuff. Rob and I have been friends and have also a working relationship, right? Started as a client and spiraled from there in the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Rob Sickel, welcome and thank you for coming on board with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on. This is my first podcast, and before we get going, just want to congratulate you on Car Guy Simple. It's really fantastic what you're building right now, and I look forward to seeing it grow.
Well, thank you. We're excited. It's a different format. We don't, and it was interesting because we had a guest on recently, and it occurred to me that our listeners and our viewers, and thank you for listening and viewing, and tell your friends. You hear me say that all the time. We don't charge for people to come on our pod, and we don't pay people to come on our pod. And the reason that we do that is so that because we're agnostic to the dollars, we can really get into some interesting dialogue here.
Yeah, no, totally. I can see that opens it up.
And speaking of interesting dialogue, you bring a whole nother dimension into this show, right? Because you're a car guy. We have a lot more in common than just being friends and co-workers. I don't even see it as a client relationship anymore. But also some of the things that you're involved in, and your wisdom is something, especially as a third generation dealer principal in your organization, I think makes a lot of sense for people to participate in listening to, and maybe they can take something back to their stores or groups, right? So why don't we, actually that's a great segue. Why don't we start with, what's Rob? Who's Rob? What's Rob about? Where you been? What have you been doing?
Well, I'm in the car business.
You don't say.
I don't say. I'm in the car business, and it's a great business, and I have to first thank my father and my grandfather for setting this up for me. I'm a PhD as you were as well. If people aren't aware, it's parent had a dealership, and I was given pretty much one set of instructions when my dad was about to retire, and was don't mess it up. Don't F it up was actually.
I was going to say he's car guy.
Well, we're being recorded here, so I want it to be PC, but
personal computer.
It's something like that. But don't F it up, and that's pretty much what I've been working towards since 2019 when my dad retired.
Let's talk a little more about you, and then dive back into the Pine Belt organization, because there's such an amazing story. You grew up in New Jersey?
Grew up in New Jersey, yes. Grew up in Lakewood, New Jersey, where the dealership's located. Moved to Brick when I was about 10 years old.
And you went to school out of state. We share this in common.
Yes, we sure do.
The only letter in the alphabet that we constantly focus on in this show, it's all about the U.
It's all about the
U. Bring it in. Yes. Yeah, buddy. That's right. And we always see, right? Dean, Josh, Brendan. You guys, well, Josh, right? Didn't your wife go to the U?
My wife did go to the U.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and she has her entire fantastic nursing career to blame on the University of Miami.
She does.
Now is she excited about this season for football?
I'm forced to watch every game. So
every game. You're forced to watch every game.
At least they're super entertaining.
It's a great game versus some of our professional teams.
They are now, as
Yeah.
opposed to the lacrosse program, which is still struggling.
Well,
but that's another conversation for a different day. So there's two types of PhDs, right? There's what we were trained or subjected to, depending on how you look at things, really. And then there's the other PhDs. When you graduated from the U, you came right back and went to work and got the keys to the kingdom, right?
Well,
no,
not exactly. So I will say that during college, during the summers between semesters, I would come back home and I would work in my parents' dealership. But once I graduated college, I wanted some other experience that maybe I just couldn't get at a business that was owned by my father, right? So I called my father up after I graduated and I said, Dad, you're going to have me come up and sell cars, right? He says, yeah, that's the plan. I said, well, I just graduated Miami. I kind of like it down here. And,
right.
I could sell cars down here as well. What do you think of that? Well, he says, well, if you think you can do it, have at it. So I did. And for about 3.5 years, I sold cars down in the Miami area, did some finance as well. And there eventually came a point where my father called me up and he says, okay, enough learning the business. Now it's time to learn our business. So I graduated in 2000. It was right around 2004 that I ended up coming back up to New Jersey and then started learning other facets of the business that I wasn't really privy to working down in Miami.
So for your now, all these years later, that was more than a year ago. I'm being polite, right?
Yeah.
But it's been how long? When did you graduate Miami?
2000.
Yeah, I have scars older than that, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah.
So all this time has elapsed. Wisdom of years. Did that education help you versus pack your stuff, get back to Jersey, and show up on the showroom floor the day after vacation, graduation?
I think it really did in a couple different ways. The first one is every dealership runs differently, right? There's 13,000 dealerships in the country, and there's 13,000 different ways to run a store. So I got to see some other ways to run a store that were pretty impactful for our organization when I eventually did come back. And then having a boss that wasn't your dad. Right? Someone who was really going to hold you accountable.
Oh, yeah.
Now, working for your parents can be a good thing or a bad thing, quite honestly, right? And I was very lucky the way my dad treated me as a son/employee. He was pretty easygoing. He gave me a lot of support with the different employees that he had around him.
Sure.
Helping me through the business, but some people have different experiences where their parents are super hard on them.
My dad fired me
I think
twice.
I know someone like that, right? My dad fired me twice. But working for someone else who wasn't my father, really gave me that sense of accountability, right. and you couldn't just mail it in.
No, you can't mail it in. And your life grew as you got involved in the family business, right? So let's just fast forward and then we're going to go backwards again, right? Because what year did the company technically start?
1937.
1937, your grandfather.
Yes.
Okay. Now we fast forward to today. The Cornerstone is still part of the group, right? Chevrolet.
Yep, absolutely.
And national presence, big front runner volume-wise. You also have a Subaru store,
That's right.
a Mazda store, and a Stellantis store, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Correct.
And your family is also associated off campus
Yep.
with 2 Nissan and a Cadillac store.
Correct.
All of these stores, all 7 of them, are volume leaders, CSI leaders, long-term employees, and we're going to dive into that stuff.
Sure.
Before we do that, I'd like to now walk this back to Mr. Sickel, Leon Sickel,
Yes.
right? How did he get involved? Because didn't he serve in the military?
So it's a funny story. I'm gonna rewind it a little bit before that. My grandfather was not necessarily a successful person until he purchased what was Lake Chevrolet at the time in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Right.
My grandfather went to University of North Carolina, which difficult to get into, so he must have been a decent student. Went down there, and the first semester he was down there, he played tennis every day. If he was still around, he would have told you he got quite good at it. But never went to class and never went back to University of North Carolina. So this is in the, early 1920s, maybe late 1910s. I'm not sure exactly the time frame there. So he comes back to Lakewood, and he talks to his father about starting a loan business. At that time, $10,000 was a great deal of money, and my great-grandfather loaned my grandfather $10,000 to start his loan business.
Wow. Loan to a loan.
Loan to a loan. He loaned out the $10,000, and that was the end of his loan business. Never got paid back.
Oh, no!
So then the opportunity came around to purchase this car dealership, and he did so with a couple family and couple friends to pool some money together to buy the business. And he just found the right thing for him, right? And I think that's really important is, a lot of, younger generation that's growing up, sometimes they look lazy, right? Or sometimes they don't look engaged. And maybe they just haven't found the right thing yet. And once you find the right thing, then you can really make it a part of who you are and make it a part of your success. And that's what my grandfather did. So he ended up buying the dealership in 1937. And as we all know, there was a war in the 40s, World War II. So at that time, all of the manufacturers really stopped making cars at that time, and they were building tanks and bombs to support the war.
Right.
So he shut down his dealership at that time and enlisted in the war. He was in his mid-30s at this point. Enlisted in the war, spent 3 years overseas. Very luckily and thankfully survived the war, came back and reopened the dealership, and the rest is history, sort of.
There's a lot to be learned from that generation. I mean, my dad...
The greatest generation.
Right, yeah. My dad and your grandfather were in the same vintage.
Sure.
And I learned the used car business from my dad because during World War II, you couldn't sell new cars, right? They were up on blocks, they were covered, so they had OPA pricing, and that's when the Monroney label came out, so nobody got scolded after the war. And that type of education trickled down to you as well, I'm assuming, from your dad.
Yep.
And you spent time with your grandfather?
Very little. He died when I was young.
I'm sorry to hear that. So your dad really was carrying the torch.
Yep.
And he was a direct disciple of, I'm sure, what his father, your grandfather, was teaching, and you got it from your father.
So it's funny. I mean, yes. My father learned what he learned in the car business from his father, and I learned from my father. Yet we talk about these generational differences, and you just mentioned your dad got into used cars when new cars weren't being built.
Yep.
Now, my grandfather was overseas during that time, so didn't really get that used car flavor. In fact, my grandfather did not sell used cars out of his operation.
Ever?
Well, until my father got involved.
Oh.
And brought something new to the table, which was, let's sell used cars retail instead of just wholesaling them. So that's something new that, my father, even though learned from his father, brought something new to the organization. And likewise, my experience down in Miami selling cars, I brought something new to the organization as well, which was a BDC, which we all know and love now, right? But back in the late 90s, early 2000s, BDC, people couldn't spell BDC.
No, they couldn't.
It wasn't a thing at the time,
It's
right?
True. No, I remember in the 90s going to NADA. There was one in Atlanta. I don't remember what year it was, but it was in the 90s. And I remember it was speaker after speaker. You don't need your showrooms. Don't listen to the manufacturer. Everybody's going to buy online. And after the break, we're going to really dive deep on this stuff because I want to take it to what is the Pine Belt organization doing? How did you perfect the things that and we're going to dive into that. And don't worry, we'll make sure that none of your facing competitors employ any of that stuff, right? So we won't give away the full recipe, but we'll talk about how, right? These experiences helped you shape your culture, I'm assuming?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's just shift gears then and talk
Yeah.
about how many people. So let's talk about Lakewood, which is Chevy, Mazda, Subaru, and your Stellantis store.
Yep.
So fixed and variable, roughly total number of people on your payroll.
Employees, about 280.
280. About.
I mean, it could be 278.
It's close enough for anything, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 280 people. That's a lot of juggling.
A lot of balls in the air.
Is it because of job description, or everybody just does whatever the heck they want? Or is there a culture in place that everybody speaks to and points at and embraces?
Well, we do have a very strong culture at the store, and I can't say everyone embraces it, right? That is part of the culture, is getting people to embrace what the mass of our employees
Right.
have embraced, right? And bringing them into that culture.
That's fair. It suggests that you're willing to listen to team members when they bubble something up that you haven't been doing, as opposed to a culture that says, shut up, sit down, as a radio jock said many years ago.
No, absolutely. You know, we may be in business for, 88 plus years at this point, and we've seen a lot and know a lot, quite honestly, but we're not proud people. And we really do understand that our front lines are the most important people that we have in our organization.
Right.
They might not look like on an organizational chart that they're the top line people of the organization, but when it comes down to it, without the people who are interacting with our customers, getting the vehicles fixed for our customers, we really don't have an organization, right? Though that is the organization. And hearing from them on the front lines, what are they experiencing on a day-to-day basis, whether it be, hearing from customers or, issues that might arise. We want that information and feedback brought up through the channels so we can put our heads together, think about it, and solve for it.
Which helps or hurts recruiting when it comes to any position in the company? Does that type of mindset, that type of culture, in your opinion, does that help in recruiting new people into the organization?
I honestly can't say that it helps or hurts because,
Okay.
I think a lot of people in the car industry think that dealerships are all dealerships.
Right.
They're all kind of the same,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it's not until we eventually do attract someone into our organization that they see what we do differently. That might not be happening at some other stores. So I would say it would help with retention more than with recruitment.
And it could be argued then that by it helping retention, it allows you to point to that retention when somebody comes in, because you're not the floater that's been 8 months and a year and 12 months and 18 months. That's not it. When you can point to your crew and go, well, 26 years, 22 years, 19 years, 7 years,
Yes.
Does that get people's attention?
Yeah, no, that is impactful. If we were going to hire someone and we've been in
Right.
business for 88 years and
Right.
everyone in our organization hasn't worked there for more than 3 years, something's going on, right? But when we have longevity in our employees, and we have a 45-year employee currently.
Wow.
We had a technician retire about 20 years ago, but as a 50-year technician, people once they do enter the Pine Belt organization, do like to stay
And bring in their families?
Oh, of course. So families is a tricky subject, right?
It is.
In the past, we have had generational, even currently, we do have some generational people at our dealership, right? So the 45-year employee, his 2 sons work at our organization. They both do a fantastic job for us, and we have no issues with them or that situation whatsoever. But it can be difficult with family. I mean, first of all, when one person goes on vacation, 2 people go on vacation, when
It's true.
If it's a husband and wife,
Totally
maybe.
true. 100%.
If something goes wrong with one of the employees and perhaps they have to be terminated or leave voluntarily because they're not happy about something, that might put a sour taste in the partner's mouth, right? So it's tricky. So we are we tiptoe around it a little bit. There are situations, every situation is on its own, but we tiptoe around it a little bit.
However, it works in your environment, right?
It does.
You find that middle ground, and people actually don't hate being there. And when I walk into your stores, it's like as opposed to others where I walk into other places and it's like there's a vacuum that sucks the oxygen out of the place. You don't have that in your place. You really don't.
We try to create a team environment, and we do call our employees family, right? I mean, we're at work a lot. The car business does require a lot of hours, and we're at work with our fellow employees longer than we're at home with our spouses.
Yeah.
So we call them family members because we really are a family there.
And that's the greatest segue to a break that I could think of, because when we get back from the short break that we're about to take, I want to get into, learning more about your branding philosophy, where you see the business going. How do you hold people accountable in a little bit of a snowflakey environment? Let's be honest. I mean, it's not like it was 20 years ago. It was, what'd you say? That doesn't work, and nor do we want it to anymore. God knows I went through that before I was a dealer, after I left my dad's employ, which really didn't go over well, but whatever. So when we get back from the break, those are the things that I think from a generational perspective, it'll be very interesting where you were, where you are, and where you think and where you see us getting to as an industry and your own group, right?
Absolutely.
Having said that, we'll be back in just a minute.
Pinebelt believes that no organization is any better than the people who work for it. Whether you're trying to start your career in automotive or you already have extensive experience, if you're looking to work for a premier auto group, Pinebelt is always looking to expand our world-class team of hardworking and talented staff members. To get started, visit our website, pinebeltcars.com, and click Join Our Team. Pinebelt in Lakewood. Since 1937, a name you can trust.
And we're back. Thank you for staying with us. CGS, the Car Guy Simple podcast, with our special guest, personal friend, and longtime dealer group owner, Rob Sickel. You don't even like to go by Robert. You just keep it simple, right? Rob.
No, I've been Rob, or actually Robbie, depending on how long you've known me.
Right.
Yeah.
I picked up on that early. I was like, Robbie? I don't want to get, is that, you guys set me up. So, in that time, you've seen, let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about branding.
Okay.
Right? And I don't mean the Chevy brand and the changes of bow ties or Mazda's brand. Let's talk about the Pinebelt brand. 2 words, very impactful. When we first met, and I alluded to this on another podcast, but I didn't call you out, but I'm not calling you out now, but just to put the slogan list with the face, right? When we first earned your business, I trotted out a black presentation board with 17 slogans. It's like anytime a new slogan came out, let's use that one too. And we brought it down to basically 2 slogans, right? Since 1937, a name you can trust, which goes against the grain of most people in the car business. Trust, that'll never happen, all right? But we've made it work for going on 15 years that I think we've been together, right?
Yep.
And the other one is this suggestion that we are the transactional solution, right? How did you decide to go from all of those slogans down to a minimum, and has it helped be more recognizable in the market?
So a good friend and also a vendor that I work with urged me strongly to reduce my number of slogans.
Sorry?
No, thank you, actually. No, it's been much better for us. There was a lot of, I guess I'll call it chaos with the slogans, because not only did we have 17, we wanted to use all 17 in the same ad, right? So it was confusing for the consumer. What are these people about, right? What does this dealership do? What are they about? So yes, we did pare down our slogans a bit, and quite honestly went back to what my grandfather was using back in I think maybe the 60s is when he started using, since 1937, a name you can trust, and Route 88 between Lakewood and Brick, right? Those are our, I would say, 2 main slogans.
Let's talk about that second one for a second,
Yeah.
right? Because you're in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Yes.
Great town, solid environment, people pay their bills, life is good. You're a store that, you're a group. I know you always like to call it a store, and that's just that chill mentality that we all find fantastic. That's not a paid political announcement. We really believe that. Your stores, your group, you see this as not a big highway gun to the head. You see this as a local, doing business local. You average 700-800 deliveries a month like clockwork, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. Sorry, right? That's how you see this.
Yeah.
As a destination, the decision was made quite a while ago between Lakewood and Brick. Was it because you wanted people to be more centralized in their thinking, to find you easier? How did you get there?
So again, that was something that my grandfather did way before I was around. But it's interesting because Lakewood, the town that our dealership is in, has changed pretty dramatically over the last number of years, right?
True, yeah.
So even before that change, we were between Lakewood and Brick. We're sort of on the border there. Brick is a big town. I guess even back then it was considered a bigger town. And Lakewood is there. So we wanted to draw from the local community, as we are a very community-driven organization.
Let's stay on that for a second then. You made you made reference, you used a term in the first half of this pod. You said our business. And I actually wrote that down because you were very it was very strong the way you used it, right? Do you see that phrase, that term as, I hate to use the term mission statement because those have come and gone, but is that how you see your company, our business, our inclusive of internal team members, external team members, people that are affiliated but maybe don't work for the Pine Belt organization? What do you mean when you say our business?
Yeah, our business, depending on the conversation, can mean a couple things. It can certainly mean my family's business. I do use our business when I talk about including our employees in our business. Vendors that we talk to, I include in our business.
You do, absolutely.
And the local community, I consider in our business. We don't have a business without our community, right?
We don't.
So I was taught from an early age, and I assume my father learned this from his father, that you take care of the community that supports you.
It's true. It's true. And I'll get smacked for this one after the pod has ended. So just here we go. You're a Time Dealer of the Year participant, award winner, made it to the national runoff. You're a former chairman of NJCAR, our state association. I think you even sit on a manufacturer board nationally. Are we allowed to talk about that, or?
Maybe not the details, but
right. Well, no,
yeah.
I would never get into what you talk about with Mazda behind closed doors. I would never. Oops. Philanthropy.
Yes.
I learned immediately. Week one, we're just getting everything settled in, and the P word came right out of the suitcase. Right? How do you and your family see philanthropy from a personal perspective and a business perspective? Second question, all part of this piece of the question, right? How did your family first dip your collective toes in the water, and what did you learn from that, and how does that really help you in your community?
So, philanthropy, first and foremost, we do because we want to. We want to take care of our community in a number of different ways. Now, corporate philanthropy is not a bad thing, right? You put your company out there as supporting the community, and certainly there's some goodwill that comes with it, but that's not the reason we do it. We do it specifically to help the community. Mm-hmm. And I remember stories. I mean, Lakewood was originally a chicken farming town. And a chicken farmer would come in to see my grandfather, didn't have the money, and he gave him the car and said, when you have the money, come pay me. Maybe that's how his loan business didn't work out so well, but that's neither here nor there.
That's true.
So from early on, it was about taking care of the community. My father got involved with the local hospital, and I really don't see a better way to support your community than by supporting healthcare in your community. And I followed in his footsteps there as well. I'm also on the board of the hospital, and chair a number of things through the hospital. So again, we do it because we want to take care of the community, and any goodwill that comes with it, but that's not the intent.
So you're not throwing all this stuff up. I mean, obviously, and we came up, I actually got this phrase from another client. Thank you. This came from Jeremy. So thank you, Jeremy. Corporate philanthropy.
Yeah.
And I have stayed on that phrase, always give credit where credit's due. Your website, right? So you have individual sites for all of your stores, and then you have the group site,
yep.
pinebeltcars.com. We ship nationally. I just wanted to say that. So pinebeltcars.com has a section called Pine Belt Cares.
Yes.
And when you click on that, there's a video from you, and there's logos, and there's participation, and there's all of this stuff. That's not bragging rights, though, right? You don't see it as that.
No, not at all. People do care and want to support companies that support their interests, whatever that may be. I think a perfect case of that is Subaru, the brand itself,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Subaru has really marketed themselves well as being a philanthropic organization,
right?
Whether it be for dogs and pet adoptions,
right.
Things like that, giving back to hospitals, which align with what we do. So if people are looking for that and looking for an organization to align with their thinking, then that's what that page is for.
So you're a quiet investor into the community, which you also are a member of. You live in the community,
Absolutely.
As does the lion's share of everybody that's on your payroll, 280
right.
people plus their families, right?
Right.
So this is not, you're not telling people like that phrase, shop local. You will do it and you will like it and you will shop local and you need to listen to me. That's not what you do, right? You put this stuff up and say, here's what we do. And if you are aligned with our values, welcome. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I do encourage people to shop local, whether it's with us or any of their other local organizations. But that is, we're not screaming that from the rooftops. What we really want to do is provide an experience for our customers that makes them want to shop local or at our organization.
I'm going to pull you into another swim lane.
Yank away.
All right. He said it first. I want to get into some data versus instinct, right? You're a very data-driven person.
Yeah.
Lord knows we've had tons of conversations, and we both tie it back to, well, what does the data say, right? As credit where credit's due, as David Berger always says, right? In God we trust, all others bring data. Not my words. They kind of work though, right? Do you have a balance in your mind between the data points and what your instinct tells you, or do you only go with one or the other?
You need both. And I think that's why people are so important in any organization, because those people have those instincts, right? They have the expertise and they have seen the history and where things have come from.
Right.
So I think that's all important to really tie together with the data.
Right.
And the best experience is when like vAuto came around.
Right. Sure.
And our used car director at the time, who has been with us for over 37 years, had never had a tool like that, right? For pricing used cars.
Right. Yeah.
So now we have this tool, and his response to me was, I know what I'm doing here. I don't know about this data. And I said, I'm not trying to have the data replace you.
Right.
What I want is that data to work with your gut instincts to create a better situation.
So you use it as a discovery and learning and follow through device, as opposed to being punitive a giant suck machine. Well, based on the numbers, you don't go in that direction.
No. I want to know what the numbers say, but I also want to know what the gut instinct from all of the expertise that any individual might have.
Okay, so that's juggling a lot of personalities.
Yes.
And when you have regular management meetings, I'm assuming?
We do.
Weekly?
Yes.
Sometimes daily, but mostly weekly.
Yeah.
General management meetings.
Yeah.
Well, the GMs come in and you have a separate one with sales managers and
Correct.
fixed ops and so on and so on. There's a lot of people in the room.
Yeah.
A lot of personalities.
Yes.
Your management style. What is your management style when it comes to those types of environments? How does it pull out beyond those meetings? How do you let your management style help drive where you want to go?
So, in general, I would say my management style is a mixture between kindness and accountability, right? I want to hold people accountable, but I want to do it the right way. You mentioned earlier the old school days of the car business where people were yelling and, throwing things. Not only, is it not the time for that in these this day and age, but it's just not right in general, and I don't think it motivates people.
Doesn't.
Especially younger people in today's world, it really does not motivate them. So I think holding people accountable is something that people don't necessarily enjoy being held accountable, but I think they crave it.
Does that mean that most people in your organization fire themselves, or do you have to have somebody, you or otherwise, you have key managers obviously, have to sometimes give people bad news that you're going to go in a different direction?
It works both ways.
It does.
It
Okay.
works both ways. Generally, I would say people know if they don't fit into the organization in one way, shape, or form. Maybe they don't mix well with our culture. Maybe sales just isn't for them, right? So it could be a number of different things.
That's fair. So here comes the curveball, and you're a big baseball guy, so here it comes. I own a dealership in Dallas, Texas, and I keep seeing you guys in meetings, and I look at your volume and how many years have you guys been President's Club with Chevrolet? Like forever, decades. Okay. So I get on a plane, I call you, and you're like, come see for yourself. Because you've done that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I get on a plane. I land in New Jersey at the famous Newark airport. Really famous. And, right, we drive down to you and meet you. In your opinion, what is the biggest thing that somebody is going to be taking away and probably on the phone on their way back to the airport? These guys get it, and the number one thing that pops out of their mouth, what do you think that is?
Well, first let me say I think there is no silver bullet, right?
Okay.
That being said, if there was a silver bullet to be had, taking care of your people would be that silver bullet, at least for us.
And that works for you?
I believe so.
Okay. Tactically, the consumer still has to pay the money, still has to get spot delivered.
Yep.
Business is business.
Yep.
That doesn't make us abusive, warmongering car people, right?
Nope.
You still have to ask for the business.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. You run rewards programs and you run all kinds of philanthropic sales things that are legitimate to hold people in the mode of at least keeping you top of mind, having you on the list of dealerships to shop. It's become a very competitive market.
Yep.
Do you still believe that there's life in those things that you do to give people reasons to want to consider you again and again and again? Or do you see the business eventually phasing that stuff out?
So I will say that it works for us.
Okay.
And I don't see it going anywhere for us. My philosophy is to try to give my customers the most value that we could possibly give them.
Right.
So our rewards program does offer a number of different value points outside of car ownership, by the way, right? So there's just general value in there as well.
Right, because it's not just sales and service points to convert to cash. There's restaurants and other things that you could use your points for.
Correct. Going back to Shop Local, we have a lot of local merchants that we do support through that program.
But this costs you money.
Yes,
It's a customer's not, we're not packing and the company is paying quite a big fee for this, correct?
it is not cheap.
Okay. But it's something that you feel is a value add that helps the Pine Belt brand.
I do. I feel it's a value add for the customer. I think it's important, cars are a commodity, right? You can buy a Chevy at any Chevy dealership in the country. We all own them for the same.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
So what are we going to do differently that another dealership's not doing? What value can we add to the process or to the sale to make the customer feel like they are valued, right? Because they are.
If you ever decided to sell, which I know it's not in the cards,
No.
and your two sons will be the fourth generation.
That's correct.
Right? Which is a coolest ever legacy play. And the pride and the look on your face. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're not seeing this, I just hit a note, right? You were just beaming. That's a family goal of yours, right?
Absolutely.
But the future is an uncertain future in the car business.
Correct.
In your opinion, one day, you're going to call me and say, I threw the keys at them. Let's go play golf.
No. Car dealers never retire.
Your
You
dad?
know that.
Well, I do. I do. Are you handing keys to your sons that are going to be troublesome? Where do you see the hot buttons? Where do you see the business? What's your outlook for the future?
Well, if I wish I had that crystal ball for you, right?
I'll order it from Matt.
If I did, I wouldn't be sharing that on this podcast, by the way.
Good
but,
answer.
But honestly, the business, we've seen it change, right? We've seen it change more in the last, 5, 10, 3 years than we have in the last 50.
True.
So the business is changing. It's going to continue to change. I mean, AI is now heavily involved in the auto industry. So where it goes, I honestly don't know because maybe it hasn't been developed yet, right? But I don't think that means that it's a bad thing for the car dealership or bad thing for my kids or anyone else's kids who might be, coming up in the family business. It's going to have different challenges than maybe I had or my father had, but they'll be uniquely positioned to handle those challenges, sort of the way I was when I was taking over for my father. The internet, right? The internet came along during my father's reign, and his famous words are, "This internet thing's not going anywhere." Well, I think we know that he wasn't necessarily correct on that one.
That's true.
But from my generation, and really one that hovers not technology and technology, position me uniquely to handle the challenges that we face today. So I think the same will be with my kids.
Let's give our audience one specific thing, right? You remember the movie The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio? You remember that movie? The story of Howard Hughes?
Okay, yes.
Okay,
yes.
and he talked about in Howard's persona, he always talked about the way of the future, the way of the future.
Yeah.
Because he was always that visionary guy, the way of the future, the way of the future. One thing that you think is the way of the future, whatever, down the road, whether you're still involved in the dailies or not, what's the biggest way of the future thing that you think we're going to be seeing?
I think what the future is also the past. You got to take care of your customers. You have to take care of your customers.
So what's old is new again.
What's old is new again. What might change is the way that is transacted, but taking care of customers is going to continue to be the most important.
Which I have to steal a line from Sammy Hagar, and you know that. Hi, Sammy, I got to do it. It's a shameless plug for you. Future in the past.
Yes.
That's one of his, came out of all of his, lyrical work. So you think the future is in the past? I
do. I think people want to be heard. They want to be treated respectfully, professionally. They want to know that we are there trying to help them find the best transportation solution for them, rather than how do I stuff this person in a car.
And fortunately, there's no subway system being dug in your market.
No.
So they got to make a purchase decision. The consumer has to drive something.
Yes.
So why not a Pine Belt?
Right. No, absolutely. Depending on how far into the future we look, the biggest threat I see maybe for my kids, I don't know if it's even going to be for them, maybe it's their kids, would be autonomous driving though.
Why do you say that?
Well, if there are cars that, well, first of all, I think especially when it first comes out, it's going to be expensive, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
so not a lot of people are going to be able to afford them. But when you look at, the Ubers and Lyfts and things like that, if they're done by autonomous driving and there's a ton of them around, then maybe I don't need a car, right? So I'll just call my autonomous vehicle up and have it, shoot me to wherever I need to go.
It's interesting you pointed that out, right? Because future and the past, your grandfather, my father, may they both rest in peace, went through the advent of power steering and power brakes and automatic transmission and all the Chicken Littles. The sky's falling. You can't drive. No clutch. What are you talking? Drive. They can't. And it's power steering, like one finger. This is crazy talk. Autonomous driving could be the next power steering.
Sure. Or currently we're dealing with EVs, and you had a recent podcast on EVs.
We did.
Which I thought was really well said. There's certain people that are EV type people, right? Theoretically, I would be an EV type person. I go generally 10 miles back and forth to work. I don't travel super far. If I have a charger at home, that would work perfectly for me. I actually never thought I would drive an EV, but I did drive one as a demo for a couple months. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yep.
They're fun to drive, and driving a gas-powered vehicle almost seems uncivilized after driving an EV.
It does.
But it's not for everybody.
It's not. And that's the cool part of still having ICE engines and EVs. And I think EVs are very misunderstood in this country, right? Because the current poll, as valid as polls could be or not be, but the data shows that over 40% of people currently driving, their daily driver, currently driving an EV, want out. They don't like it.
Sure.
And I don't believe it's because of the powertrain. I believe it's because they don't understand it. Just like the number one reason that people cite for not wanting an EV is range anxiety.
Right.
That's the term that we came up with.
Correct.
The average consumer is driving 31.2 miles a day, and yet a 200-mile range electric vehicle is, I'm an American. I want to be able to drive from here to Texas.
It's a mindset shift.
There's
no doubt about that. When I was driving the EV, like I said, I go 10 miles a day maybe on certain days, right? I am keenly aware of how far things are from my house now that I was never aware of before. And in the beginning, that was difficult, right?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I'm going here. It's 30 miles away, that type of thing. Towards the end, I wasn't even thinking about it anymore.
There's still a market. There'll always be a market. And it's not because of a segment of the population that doesn't want to drive a fossil fuel vehicle. There is a difference. How much do you rely on training in your fixed and variable operations that consumers, whether it's a sales or a service or a parts/accessories situation, that they take back the conversation from a knowledge-based perspective and are able to help the consumer see the vision of that vehicle in their driveway. Is that training component important to you?
It's absolutely important, and we do train everyone on it. But not unlike the consumer base, our employee base also has some people that gravitate towards EVs and some people that don't. Right. So what we try to do is rely on the people who do gravitate towards EVs. They drive them personally. They seem to know more about them. They're just into them more.
Yep.
So when we have an EV customer, we try to get them with a salesperson that is an EV guy or gal to work with them because they're speaking the same language.
And that's really the key to this business, right? Knowledge is power because it drives enthusiasm. We know that if people are happy about the experience, I mean, listen, no one wants to spend a lot of money.
No.
Whether it's the dentist chair or a vehicle or the grocery store.
Right.
If they justify it and they're having fun doing it and they see the vision and the value, is that more what Pine Belt looks to sell?
Absolutely. We want to find solutions that meet customers' needs, whether that's, what they're using their vehicle for. They're a city driver. They do outdoorsy types of things. Let's find the right vehicle for them or find the vehicle that might fit better into their budget.
Cool. I agree with that 100%. Last question, and we have to wrap it up because Brendan is swinging his arms like a crazy person. You're going to hurt yourself, dude. You got
to stretch. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Stretch first, though. It's good for the shoulders. Pine Belt's not going anywhere. The plan is we're sticking around. More legacy play.
Yep.
And as an homage to your grandfather, his picture is strategically placed on the wall.
Absolutely.
As is your dad's.
Absolutely.
2 more generations down the road, when your great-grandpa Rob
Mm-hmm.
and your family stands next to that picture and is interviewed, what's the one thing, the most important thing that you want to be remembered for when it comes to your business?
That's a big question.
It's a big question from a humble guy, and that's where I want to wrap it up. When they look at that picture, not he innovated using blue ink for used car appraisals and we've been using pens ever. What's the one thing when people look at your picture 50 years from now, great-grandpa Rob, you get singled out for that one thing. What's the one thing that you want to be known and remembered for?
I guess it would have to be taking care of our people. And our people is our people that work for us, our customers, our local community members. That's our people.
So you're living that now, and that's your legacy.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's amazing and wonderful and fantastic, and we should all be thinking that way. So, Josh, are we at the line here?
Oh, we're at the line.
We're at the line. I
This
could
was
go
a lot
on for
of
another
fun.
14 hours. Have you back? We could talk about other fun stuff and pain points, right?
That's right.
Listen, on behalf of everybody here at Car Guy Simple, thank you so much for participating. It means a lot for you to take, all of this time out of your environment and your stores to be a part of this. And hopefully everybody out there is benefiting from this, because it doesn't matter if you're an employee, a manager, still an employee, right? You want to buy your own store. You're currently in your first store. You've been in the same store for 30 years. You're trying to build, a group, or you're already in a group. It doesn't matter. Sibling of a dealer or not, right? This is good stuff. This is the future. It's not ready, shoot, aim anymore in the car business, and you epitomize that. So to embarrass you as much as you hate the accolades, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being on this podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tell your friends. And we'll leave it with this. One last time. What's it all about, Rob?
It's all about the you, baby.
That's right, baby. Let's go. Thank you all for watching, and get those questions into us. You want to learn more about something, let us know. You have an idea for a show, let us know. You want to be on a show, let us know. Let us know how we can help you, because it is all about the you. Thank you very much for participating and watching. Make it a great day. We'll see you soon.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and at CarGuysSimple.com to learn more and see behind-the-scenes action. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send Joe an email at joe@CarGuysSimple.com. This is the Car Guys Simple Podcast. See you next time.